Okay, let's unpack this. We hear it all the time, don't we? People talking about their big life goals.
Well, absolutely. I want to make $1 million by the time I'm 40. That kind of thing.
Or I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year, get 100,000 followers. It feels like the standard approach.
It really does. Setting these specific outcomes, often with a deadline attached, that's the target we're told to aim for.
And, it makes sense on the surface, right? Having a clear destination gives you focus. Seems like progress.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
What if focusing only on that number, that one big milestone, way off in the distance?
Mm-hmm.
What if that's not actually the most effective way?
Or maybe even the most fulfilling way.
Right. What if there's another approach? Something fundamentally different that makes success, almost inevitable.
Okay, now that's interesting. This is the big shift in perspective we've been looking at in the material you shared, moving beyond just goals.
Yeah, introducing this concept of building systems. So not these one-off pushes, but repeatable processes.
The daily habits, the structure.
Exactly, the way you do things consistently. And the idea is that over time, these systems don't just kind of nudge you towards a goal. They compound. They create real, lasting transformation.
In everything, really. Health, wealth.
Personal growth, yeah.
Everything. So the mission for this deep dive, then, is to really get our heads around this difference. Goals versus systems.
Understand what they are and how shifting our focus, maybe from one to the other, could, change everything.
How you approach building wealth, getting healthier, growing as a person, maybe even finding like a deeper sense of meaning.
That's the goal. So looking at the material, it defines a goal pretty straightforwardly, usually a specific result tied to a date.
Make $1 million in 2025, lose 10 pounds by summer, that sort of thing.
Yeah, very results focused. Hit the target, game over. The focus is all on the end point.
Right. But the counter idea, the really powerful one here, is that systems are different. They're about the repeatable actions you take.
It's the journey, isn't it? The daily steps. What you do consistently, almost regardless of the immediate payoff.
And the core idea, the really bold claim, is that building the right systems makes success inevitable.
Inevitable. That's a huge word. How does that actually work in practice?
Well, think about the classic example that always comes up. Warren Buffett.
Ah,
His incredible growth over, decades now? It's not because he wakes up chasing a specific income target for the year.
no, it's the foundation he built.
Exactly. He built a system ages ago, a meticulous process for picking companies, investing regularly, long-term.
And then just letting time and compounding do their magic.
Yeah, the material points this out so well. Like a hypothetical 10% stake in Berkshire Hathaway, billions, passively.
Right. And that wealth isn't from achieving a specific annual goal. It's the automatic result of that powerful system working away in the background. The process does the heavy lifting.
And this whole systems idea really gained traction with someone you've probably heard of, Scott Adams, the Dilbert guy.
Oh, yeah, Dilbert. The material mentions his book, The Systems. And apparently the original title was something pretty punchy.
It was. Passion is garbage.
Well, okay.
Which tells you straight away this isn't just about, wanting it really badly or relying on pure motivation.
Right. Adams, by focusing on building systems for his work, his life, he went from being a cartoonist to, a billionaire, according to the source.
It's presented as this prime example of the leverage you get from this approach, the inevitability factor again.
And you can see how this really landed with the author of the material we're looking at. They said reading that book was a total game changer.
Yeah, they use their own experience, which is pretty compelling. Like when writing their own book, the focus wasn't just, I need to hit #1 bestseller. It was deliberately building a system for the writing, for reaching people.
Sort of like if I build the right system, getting to the top just
Exactly. That was the mindset. It becomes an inevitable consequence.
And the claim is pretty bold. They say since 2011, they've seen growth every single year.
Financially, skill-wise, personally, all of it. And they credit it directly to building systems for happiness, health, wealth.
The conclusion is powerful.
Yeah.
If you set these up right, you can't help but get healthier, richer, and happier. It sounds almost automatic.
It does. Like you remove the stress and the hoping and you just focus on the process and the results. They just follow. Avoidable, almost.
Unavoidable, you mean?
Yeah, yes, unavoidable. Right. Okay, so let's get practical. How do you actually build a system, say, for weight loss? The material contrasts the typical goal with a system.
Right. The goal. Lose 10 pounds this year. The material says that's kind of vague, easy to fail at because there's no clear how.
Whereas the system focuses on the actions, like aiming for 8 pounds in 2 months, maybe, and then breaking that down.
Into repeatable steps. Daily things, weekly things.
Like the diet examples,
Right.
cut dinner portions in half, maybe limit late-night snacks to 3 times a week, swap others for nuts. Small, specific habit changes.
Exactly. And for cardio, it's not about forcing yourself to do something you hate. The system idea is pick something fun. Dancing, cycling. Maybe just once or twice a week to start. Make it sustainable.
Enjoyable, even.
Yeah. And the strength training part starting small. Like a 3-minute plank, maybe 3 times a week.
But the real system insight there is, if 3 minutes feels like too much, start with 90 seconds, just before bed.
Get the habit locked in first. The repeatable process. Then worry about increasing duration or intensity.
That's such a crucial point. The author's own jogging story nails this. They started with just 1 minute a day.
1 minute. That sounds almost impossible not to do.
Right. But they built up gradually from there to 30 minutes, sometimes more. It was the system of just showing up, even for 60 seconds, that built the habit first, then the result followed.
And adding that accountability bet with a friend, pay $20 if you don't run.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's designing the system to make it harder not to do the action.
Yeah, it kind of bypasses the need for constant willpower, doesn't it? Removes the daily debate with yourself.
Which brings us to the other big example from the material building a system for writing a bestseller.
Right. The hopeful goal is just, I'm going to write a book and hit #1. But the source says that's mostly wishful thinking.
The system is different. It's deliberate. It's engineered.
Like that commitment. 1 article a week for 5 years.
That's 260 pieces. Imagine the skill development, the sheer volume of work produced just by sticking to that system. Week in, week out.
Plus building the learning into the system. Reading 1 top self-help book every month. That's 12 a year.
And using accountability, telling friends, posting online to make sure that part of the system actually happens.
And the marketing side, too. Built right into the process. Commit to 1 YouTube video a month. Study marketing strategies. And, critically, analyze the bestsellers themselves.
Yeah, digging into why books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad or The Millionaire Fastlane worked. What did they do with stories, with bold ideas, with structure?
And then applying those lessons. It's a system of study, practice, application.
It reminds me so much of James Clear's Atomic Habits, which also gets mentioned. That power of tiny, repeatable actions compounding.
Totally connected. The author's really clear. Their book hit #1, not through luck or manifestation alone.
But because it was engineered with a system, the process made the outcome, well, inevitable again.
Okay, so if systems are this powerful, why do most of us just default to setting goals? The material offers a few key reasons.
The big one seems to be willpower. Goals rely heavily on it.
And let's be honest, as the material points out, willpower fades. It fails. We're kind of wired for the easy path, right? Laziness, procrastination kick in when motivation dips.
Ouch. Hits a bit close to home, but probably true. A system then sort of takes willpower out of the equation, or at least reduces the need for it.
Yes, it becomes routine, ingrained. Like brushing your teeth, you don't need a surge of motivation for that, do you?
No, it's just automatic.
Building systems aims for that same automaticity for the behaviors you want.
And systems give you daily wins. That's another point.
Yeah, with a big goal, you might feel stressed or like you're failing until you finally hit it. Or maybe you hit it, get that brief high, then crash.
Right, the what now feeling.
But with a system, every single day you follow your process, you've succeeded for that day. You get a small win.
That builds momentum, positive feedback, reinforces the habit.
Exactly. You feel successful every day because you're doing the work. And over time, those small, consistent steps just naturally add up to huge results. But you feel good along the way.
Let's touch on some of those other inspiring examples that really drive this home. J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, she didn't start out with the goal, I will become a billionaire author read by everyone.
Yep.
Her system was simpler but relentless.
Writing every day, honing the craft, submitting manuscripts again and again despite all the rejections.
It was her consistent process, her dedication to that system that eventually led to Harry Potter and everything that followed. The outcome was a result of the system.
And Oprah Winfrey is another great one. She wasn't initially aiming for, media mogul.
No, her system was rooted in consistent learning and connection. Reading daily, asking those insightful, sometimes difficult questions as a journalist.
Yeah.
Connecting authentically with people.
Even when she got fired early on, she stuck to her system. Show up, learn, connect, interview.
That consistency, that growth process built on her values. that built her empire and her wealth.
Yeah.
The system was about authentic engagement, not just chasing fame.
Elon Musk's learning system, too. How he taught himself rocket science.
Right. It wasn't a goal like, okay, by next Tuesday I'll understand rocket propulsion.
Haha, probably not.
It was a system of just relentless daily learning, reading textbooks for hours, actively seeking out experts, asking questions, and crucially applying it immediately through building things.
That system, that constant cycle of learning and doing, that's what enabled Tesla and SpaceX.
The material throws out a challenge, doesn't it? Consider the impact of just reading one book a month for 10 years.
That's 120 books. Think about the knowledge, the perspectives, the intellectual capital you'd build almost automatically just from that one simple, repeatable system. It's potentially life-changing.
And that final personal story, the friend's weight loss journey, that really crystallizes it.
Yeah, failing with the big goal, six-pack abs by summer, using unsustainable methods like crash diets and crazy workouts.
But succeeding massively with a super simple, almost ridiculously easy system.
10 minutes of walking a day,
Yeah.
one healthy meal a day, maybe track steps loosely, that was it.
A system designed to need almost zero willpower to start. You basically can't fail at 10 minutes of walking.
And the result? Lost 30 pounds in a year. Not through suffering, but through consistent, manageable steps. The author was just blown away by how simple yet powerful that unfailable system was.
And this all connects back to something deeper, doesn't it? Which feels really important here. The author talks about their ultimate dream.
Yeah, not just a number in a bank account, but becoming a thought leader, someone who can inspire people and make a real impact.
It's about linking these practical systems to a bigger why, to purpose, meaning contribution.
They explain that their systems, the reading, writing, exercising, creating stuff, they're all built with that larger vision in mind.
So the systems aren't just for personal gain and isolation. They're building the foundation, the knowledge, the skills, the platform for that impact and influence, for fulfillment.
So the outcomes getting smarter, healthier, more capable, more successful, they aren't just random ticks on a list.
No, the material frames them as the automatic, the inevitable results of building the right machine, the right system for living and growing.
And that continuous growth, achieved through these systems, it isn't just about getting stuff. It leads towards that deeper meaning, that sense of purpose, and maybe even like enlightenment through consistent progress.
It really reframes everything, away from the stress of chasing a distant target towards the daily satisfaction and, yes, the certainty of just executing a meaningful process.
Every day you stick to your system, you're not just hoping for a future result. You're actively building who you are becoming, the life you're creating, one small, consistent step after another.
Wow. That is an incredibly powerful shift in thinking.
Yeah.
So, while goals, yeah, they can give you direction, like a compass.
It's the consistent, repeatable process, the system that truly drives that inevitable growth across everything: health, wealth, happiness, knowledge.
And ultimately, impact and meaning.
Systems take the pressure off willpower, right? They turn those small daily steps into wins that build real momentum.
Unstoppable momentum sometimes.
Yeah.
And lead to continuous improvement, not the stress or the boom and bust cycle of hitting or missing a single target.
It's about building a really solid foundation for lasting change in every part of your life.
So for everyone listening,
Yeah.
if you've been really focused on chasing one specific goal, maybe it's fitness, learning something new, growing a business, or even just finding more joy day to day.
Take a moment and think about this. Based on everything we've talked about today, what's one simple, repeatable system you could start, like this week?
Just one small thing. Maybe something that feels almost too easy to fail at. That's often where the real magic starts. The seed of inevitable progress.
Yeah. And consider how that one consistent action, that little piece of a system you build, how that could unlock some really significant long-term transformation.
Leading you not just to hit some outcome, but towards building a life of continuous growth, deeper fulfillment, and real lasting impact. What system are you going to start building today?